it's Kate. Welcome back to my channel. And I turned the camera on and my husband is currently moving the garbage can right outside the window. So that's what that rumbling sound is. I'm not gonna start over again this time. So it might be a little noisy. My husband's doing some yard work outside and my girls are at least trying to sleep. And I am here, it is Sunday afternoon again, and I am here to talk about what I read this last week. I didn't read a ton. I finished 2 books. I read on some other books, but abandoned some other books. However, I will say that the reading that I did do this week, I very much enjoyed. And I am kind of at a clean slate. I'm not in the middle of anything really right now. So going into this next week, I can read whatever I want. And I'm excited. So, let's see. The one book that I started reading and will continue to read slowly through this week is this book, Winners Take All, The Elite Charade of Changing the World by Anand Giridharadas. And so this book is about wealth and political elite who are doing things to, quote, change the world. But in fact, the argument is they are actually maintaining the status quo and kind of making themselves and others feel better about their abilities and to do good, but at the same time what they're actually doing is kind of reinforcing their status and their wealth. So I'm reading this because I listened to a podcast interview with the author on the On Being podcast with Krista Tippett, which is hands down my favorite podcast. I don't have the ability to listen to podcasts very often because I have a very chatty 3.5-year-old. But I listened to some of this a week ago, last Sunday morning, I think, and immediately kind of texted my husband. I was like on the way to pick up our groceries, and I said, we need to listen to this tonight. So rather than reading or watching TV or whatever after the girls went to sleep that night, we listened to this podcast together and listened to him talk about his theories as someone who is part of this elite and has taken part in these charades. And so I'm really excited to get into this book and kind of get some more concrete examples of what he has to say. So far it's quite interesting, and I will keep you posted. I'm going really slowly through this one just because it's, I don't know, it's not my normal type of reading, I think, so it's taking me a little bit, but I'm enjoying it. So the 2 books that I finished, the first I read was a short story collection, All the Names They Used for God by Anjali Sachdeva. And so I have talked about this before, but I feel a little bit out of my depth as far as evaluating short story collections. I just don't really know what I'm doing. But this was really good. I keep thinking about the stories, and it is really impressive to me that, I mean, in a full novel, it makes sense that you can be compelled as a reader to turn the page and keep reading the book because there's plot development and character development and you want to find out what happens. It's just very impressive to me that short story writers can do that as well when you finish a story and you can't wait to start the next one, even though it's about something completely different. It just kind of boggles my mind that they can write that well. So that was exactly how this book was, and the topics of the stories varied. It was a lot about kind of relationships and how relationships can be helpful or harmful, and also there was some about like societal expectations, and there was one about a mermaid that I really, really liked. So a lot of them had some sort of like magical realism, and it was really, really good. I cannot describe it more than that because it was just short stories and the plots were so varied. But I picked it up because the Reading Women podcast, which I don't listen to the podcast very often, again, because I don't have time to listen to podcasts, but I do pay attention to Kendra Winchester's YouTube channel. And so I follow kind of the books that they're reading, and this they had nominated, and my husband is making faces at me in the window. They had nominated this for their Reading Women Award, and then as I was reading it, I found out that it won, and I can say that I agree. I haven't read the other books, or most of the other books, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. And then yesterday, I just wanted a reread. I wanted a Happy Christmas Story. And so I picked up one of my favorite Christmas books, and that is Fannie Flagg's Redbird Christmas. This takes place in a very small town in Alabama, and we meet the eccentric, mostly middle-aged and elderly characters in this very small town in Alabama. We see it a lot through the eyes of Oswald. What is his last name? Oswald Campbell, who has moved there for health reasons, and he's experiencing all of this for the first time, and all of the residents experience some sort of renewal and hope through the story, and it centers also around a particular cardinal or redbird named Jack. And it's just one of those heartwarming stories. It's not perfect. There are definitely some stereotypes that I'm not 100% comfortable with, although it also could have been a lot worse. It's not profound. It's definitely heavy-handed in the hope and happy feelings department, but that's what I was in the mood for. So that's what I got. I mean, it's pretty typical Fannie Flagg. I say that I read maybe three other Fannie Flagg books. I think the main difference here is that the protagonist, whose eyes we're mostly looking through, Oswald, he's a man, and most of Fannie Flagg's protagonists are female that I've read. So that was a little bit different, but he also has a lot of relationships with women, friendly relationships with women throughout the book, and that colors his experiences, and I think that makes it seem more real almost, or more authentic than if she had just been trying to write from a male perspective. So I also recommend this one if you're looking for a feel-good Christmas, not romance, just a feel-good Christmas story. This is a great one. And that's really all that I read. Like I said, there's a couple other books that I picked up and put down, but I don't want to talk about them because I put them down and didn't keep reading them. And I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. I'm going to decide hopefully soon, but I haven't yet. So I will leave you with that. If you've read any of these books or want to read any of these books, let me know in the comments below and we can talk about it. I would love to. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye.